The world of Formula One always has some super interesting things going on, and these last few weeks haven't changed that. With new systems and new cars upcoming over the next few years within the sport, we're also seeing major changes to the way the sport plays each week. So stay tuned to today's video as we discuss a brand new implementation from the Formula One team. First up, Formula One to introduce more sprint qualifying for the 2023 season. The first thing to cover in today's video is that the sport is seemingly introducing more sprint qualifying for the next 2023 season. Recently, we saw the FAA Motorsport Council threw a vote up that sought to increase the number of sprint events through the Formula One seasons. The vote went through, and it seems like they're now going to increase the sprint format weekends for Formula One during the next 2023 season. A quarter of the 2023 Formula One races will now feature the sprint format, qualifying up to 3 this year and the last. I'm pleased that we can confirm 6 sprints will be a part of the championship from 2023 onwards, building on the success of the new format introduced for the first time in 2021, said Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali. The sprint provides action across 3 days, with the drivers all fighting for something right from the start on Friday through the main event on Sunday, adding more drama and excitement to the weekend. The feedback from the fans, teams, promoters, and partners has been very positive, and the format is adding a new dimension to Formula One, and we all want to ensure its success in the future. Sprint qualifying was something introduced back during the 2021 Formula One season, and the ever-popular British Grand Prix was the first host to carry on this in a new initiative. This format was set to shake things up for the crowd and for the people racing, as the format brings changes with its revised schedule for the weekend. This gives them just an hour of practice prior to a typical shootout-style qualifying session on the Friday afternoon. Cars are then taken into pits, and then a second hour of practice follows on the Saturday morning prior to the 100-kilometer sprint encounter later on before the race begins. The starting order for the sprint is also determined by the qualifying session on Friday, while the grid for the actual Grand Prix proper is set by the outcome of the sprint event. The confirmation that 6 race weekends featuring sprint will take place from the 2023 FIA Formula One World Championship season onwards is another example of the continued growth and prosperity at the highest level of motorsport, added FIA President Mohammed Ben Saliem. Thanks to close collaboration with Stefano Domenicali and our colleagues at FOM, we concluded a thorough analysis on the impact of additional sprint sessions and have adjusted relevant parameters of our work to ensure that they continue to be regulated at the very highest level. Sprint sessions provide an exciting dynamic to the race weekend format and have proven to be popular over the past 2 seasons. I'm sure that this positive trend will continue, and am pleased that the World Motorsport Council has today given its approval for them to go ahead. 2 sprint events have currently been held in 2022 already, as they took place during the Austrian Grand Prix and the Emilia-Romagna, with another one set to come up when the circus reaches the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in late November. Formula One adding this definitely shook things up, and it makes a lot of sense as it allows the audience to have a different type of feeling. One of the biggest things within Formula One is making the audience and racers happy, something that they've been trying very hard to do since the drama of late last year. The sport was seemingly on the decline this time last year, and there was a lot of controversy at the time. Throughout 2022, however, they've been changing a lot of things up, and the overall sport has been much healthier because of it. We're also seeing changes to the sport in the next few years as more energy efficient and sustainable vehicles are being introduced to the sport. Formula One is a sport that uses a lot of fossil fuels, and they're trying to make a change to allow the sport to be sustainable for decades to come. We hope that these changes to Formula One allow the sport to feel much fresher to its new audience as well as its original one. The sprint qualifying event is one of the best parts of any Formula One race when it occurs, so we're more than happy that it occurs more this year. Please let us know down in the comments section below your thoughts on all of this, as well as tell us your opinion on Formula One introducing more sprint qualifying for the 2023 season. And now, on to some other Formula One news to wrap up today's video. Next up, we have Max Verstappen and Lando Norris caught at a large Monaco party after their F1 title triumph. The next piece of information comes from an awesome part of the latest Monaco Grand Prix. Both Max Verstappen as well as Lando Norris were recently spotted at a very lively party within Monaco as they continued to celebrate Verstappen's back-to-back world win titles. The Red Bull driver was confirmed as the second youngest 2-time driver championship at the Japanese Grand Prix earlier this month. Verstappen wrapped up a very dominant title pursuit in some very confusing fashion at the latest Suzuka circuit after some heavy rainfall, and even a lengthy red flag limited his 53-lap race to just 29. As a result of being between around 50 and 75% of laps being completed, it was initially believed that 4 points would not be awarded to any of the drivers. However, recent Japanese Grand Prix rules state that reduced points can only be applied if the race could not be resumed, meaning that Max Verstappen actually received maximum points for the race. After this, this, Charles Leclerc dropped from second to third due to a 5-second penalty for gaining an advantage during the final corner. Max Verstappen then wasted little time celebrating his triumph after the win, as footage of him partying with Wonder Norris behind a DJ deck surfaced over the weekend afterwards on TikTok and Twitter. More videos surfaced showing a shindig appearing on Instagram following the 25-year-old being hailed with an impressive cake to commemorate a phenomenal occasion for him and many of the drivers. We love to see Formula One drivers blow off some steam and have a fun time after doing some of the craziest things in their career. Now, Max Verstappen has been tipped to quit Red Bull for F1 rival despite a long-term contract. It seems like Max Verstappen will not now spend the rest of his career at Red Bull, as there are so many variables that need to make that happen. Max Verstappen recently won his second consecutive Formula One world title last week during Japan and further cemented his legacy within Formula One as an overall sport. He's currently just 25 years old and will be hoping to add even more championships under his belt before retiring in a few years. He's already spent the first 8 years of his Formula One career under the books of Red Bull, starting with Toro Rosso before joining its parent team, Red Bull. There were multiple times where the company Red Bull were continuing to struggle and build a car capable of challenging Mercedes. This was also during the time that Max Verstappen was reportedly considering his long future with the team. However, Max Verstappen then went on to sign a 6-year contract with Red Bull just a few months after winning his original first world title. His current deal runs until around 2028, at which point Max Verstappen will be 31. He's spoken at lengths on social media and with journalists about how he doesn't see himself driving for any other team than Red Bull before he eventually retires from the sport overall. This would actually be a huge anomaly within the sport, as the vast majority of Formula One drivers switched between different teams at some point within their career. Both Lewis Hamilton as well as Michael Schumacher would not have won the amount of world titles as well as races that they have without leaving McLaren and Benetton behind respectively. Mika Hakkinen has come out and listed all the reasons why he feels like it's very unlikely Max Verstappen is going to break that trend before his career ends. He said that a lot of mechanics spend many hours in waiting areas at airports only to get commercial flights from A to B and being transported to the track in small minibuses. The drivers, on the other hand, are treated like royalty and have their own private planes as well as a car waiting for them. It's a completely different lifestyle. It's awesome to see Max Verstappen sign such a long-term contract, but there's always a risk when employing important people. It's also a risk when those important people then leave the car that they are no longer performing in. The driver's expectations change, and at that point, the driver will wonder if it's time to change teams. He went on to finally say that he doesn't think Max Verstappen will stay with Red Bull for the rest of his career. Historically, drivers have often switched teams for various reasons, even if they have had multiple different titles under one team. It could be financial reasons, or simply that they were ready for a brand new environment. And that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know down in the comments section below. It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye.